Welcome to Small Arms Solutions. Today we're looking at some Zastava rifles and the new ZPAP92. Now the new ZPAP92 is more of a Krinkov type looking one with a flash suppressor. Let's go over some of their other guns first. Now Zastava, I think, looking at their M70, PM70, is perhaps the finest AK that you can buy in the market right now. Again, Zastava was the former Yugoslavia, so this is the same company that made the Yugoslavian rifles. And you look at this, you can surely see this Yugoslavian, it's what it is. However, this is where they got it right. They listened to the American customers and they made some changes. Of all the AKs that were out there, the ZPAP and the Yugoslavian ones were the only ones that did not utilize a chrome line barrel. Which is seriously crazy because of the fact they use a lot of corrosive ammunition over there. Well, they were asked for chrome line barrels. Well, that's what they got. What we have here is a hard chrome lined barrel, beautifully made, and this gun is very accurate, especially for an AK. I was very, very impressed with this one. Beautiful wood. This is a regular Yugoslavian grip. This has the Yugoslavian magazines as well. These hold back on the last shot. Basically what's doing it, there's not a mechanical lock. The follower comes up and it stops the bolt from going forward. So as soon as you remove the magazine, it goes forward. So again, I think this is probably one of the finest AKs on the market. Next one is the PAP90PS. The PAP90PS is the 5.56 version. So we have the same wonderful qualifications of the regular ZPAP with a more modern stock, which is telescopic, Magpul type stock, folds. You also have a adjustable gas setting up at the top here. Now, this adjustable gas setting you sort of got to be careful with due to the fact that you do not want to rotate it with the gas tube on it. You need to remove the gas tube, make your adjustment setting, put the gas tube back on. The first one I got, I tried prying it up like they said, and this got bent. I had to set it back so they could replace it. So that was a hard lesson learned. So a cold hammer forged 5.56 barrel. And I have to say, with iron sights, this was an excellent rifle, and we also put an optics mount on it. Now, one of the things about the Yugoslavian rifles is they require their own scope mount. They don't use a standard AK scope mount, so these all had to use that. Now we look at the newest version. Now, the ZPAP92, again, 7.62x39, and again, you have a Krinkov look to it. But what they've done is they've put a Magpul style stock on here, so you have an AR style stock, so a CTR stock. Beautiful Magpul grip. This one that was really made for the American market. And you look up front, we had 1913 rails, and it came with a Mo grip. So if you look at the FA suppressor here, you do have vents on the side here. This was relatively loud, but it wasn't really too bad. But you also have 1913 rails on the top. Now, this is where we get into some complex. It has 1913 rails. This is nothing that's going to return to zero. This is a separate piece, and you can actually wiggle it a little bit. And you have a cover on here also that does have some movement to it. So you're not going to get any kind of precision with the thing, but it's going to work. If you remove the 1913 rail, you'll be able to use the sights. I had used a Trigicon MRO on here, which once we got it zeroed, it shot fairly well. The ammunition that we used was Norma 123 grain full metal jacket, and we used some Wolf, and of course it shot all of them up. It comes with a Magpul magazine, so you have all the American parts that you would need: Mo grip, magazine, pistol grip, stock assembly, which is all American made. I'm going to take it apart. Again, it's hinged like a Krinkov, so we're going to push all the way in. We're going to lift up. The nice thing about this one is it's captive, so you don't lose any of your parts. Push in, pull out. Push in, pull out your bolt carrier group. And again, you probably have you have an American-made trigger in here as well, which is not a bad trigger at all. No, I'm not really going to pull anything else off of this just because it's a little bit more of a pain. You have to use the screws to pull this off, which is not necessary. This is just a gas tube. Now, on the front sight, if you can see, it does come with the flip-up night sights that these guns were famous for on the front and on the rear. So that's something that they were always famous for. When the first Zastava guns came in the late 80s, that was something that they had on them. So any of you guys who find these now, you'll notice that the tritium is pretty much done. So it only lasts for so long. Again, this is a standard AK bolt system. Now, the fit and finish on these Zastava guns is really second to none. There's not a lot of companies who put out AKs that really put a lot of attention to detail like these guys do. However, their quality is consistent right across the board. They also have the safety on here, which all these guns have. You pull it back, you lift up, and it works to hold your bolt open. So that's really an American-made part. This sight is zeroed for 200 meters. Doesn't go much further with this little short barrel on here. Again, this is a FOSS suppressor. This is not, it's welded in place. The barrel does not go all the way out. This is a very short sight radius. This is not what you would call a long-range gun. We were shooting it at 100 yards, which you will see momentarily. The magazines that we used, again, we had the Magpul PMag. We had the magazines that had the follower, which has the stop to hold the bolt open. So you just drop that down, and there you go. So it's certainly, very much Americanized with the way the stock is on it. I mean, this stock is definitely more comfortable than the originals. The original ones, like all AK stocks, they're relatively short. I'm not sure if that's just because the stature of the Russian soldiers, the way they cut them down or whatnot. But when these get into Americans' hands, they can tend to be a little bit shorter. By adding this on here, the gun's a lot more comfortable for Americans. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to take this to the range and we're going to see how it shoots.
All right.
The group at 50 yards was 0.38 inches, so not what you would call a track driver. I would probably say more of a minute of barn door. But these were, again, not designed to be precision rifles. So we're pretty much at 100 yards, you would still be on a human silhouette, so I expect you wouldn't have too much problem with that. You will hit the silhouette, but you're not really going to hit anything specific. And our shooting was done with a red dot. The red dot, actually, you can get a better zero on it with one aiming point. But overall, it was not an accurate rifle. We put about 200 rounds through it, again, out of that ammunition that we discussed. I'm very fond of the Norman ammunition. The Norman ammunition is probably one of the more accurate ones that's out there right now. It beats all the steel case that's out there. The only problem with it is not with AKs. AK gas ports are pretty much wide open. They're like humongous holes. When you put that same ammunition in an AR type gas system that has a smaller gas port, the pore pressure can be low, and you can have problems with ammunition cycling. You don't have it when you put it in an AK platform, just because they're over-gassed, and that's how they make them work. But overall, my impressions of this were, very, very well made. Again, this is not what you call precision work. That's not what it was designed for. But if you're looking for a good, solid quality AK, all three of the ones that you see here are awesome. Most Americans are choosing to go with the PAPM90PS in 5.56. The reason being is because of the embargoes on Russia. Once these licenses are up on importation from Russia, there's no more 7.62x39 ammunition coming in from Russia, which means all the cheap ammunition will be done. So then you're going to be stuck with buying a lot of American-made and other European. It's going to be brass-cased ammo. It's a lot more expensive than the average steel. There are some companies who are talking about making steel in the United States. There's not really much point in it because of what the cost is going to be to ramp it up to use steel. It's more practical to use boxer primers than Burdan primers. I think it's going to be much better for people to go with the 5.56 because we will always have 5.56 in this country. America's rifle is the M16 AR-15, and that is not going away. There's abundance of ammunition, even with what Mr. Biden did by his telling Lake City they can't sell commercially any longer. So I think the 5.56 is probably more so the way to go. And I have to expect that in not too distant future, you may see this in 5.56. I certainly could be wrong. But if you look at what Zastava has done so far, they've given you 5.56, they've given you 7.62x39 in the full-length rifles. These smaller ones have been in 7.62x39. I expect at some point they'll do that in 5.56 as well. So I do hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, please click like, please subscribe, even better, share.